Show me what community looks like. Tell me what community looks like.
Grab some water, keep stretching if you want to, continue to cool down. We're gonna have a conversation here. Hang with us as we get this panel going. Let me go ahead and introduce to you who we've got chatting today, okay? Melissa St. Ville. She is the first Haitian American world champion. She has 5 title belts. She is the current NABO world champion. Outside the ring, she works with children and adults on the autism spectrum and speaks to young women who grew up in dangerous and abusive situations. Welcome, Melissa. We're going to chat with you in just a moment. Claressa Shields is a world champion and a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. She is also one of 8 boxers in history, which means male or female guys, to hold all 4 major world titles in boxing simultaneously at the same time. That's pretty cool. She will also make her MMA debut later this year because, you know, she doesn't have enough on her plate, it seems. We've also got Donna Kipp. Donna is a junior Olympic boxing bronze medalist for the Blackfeet Nation Boxing Club. Donna, of course, has been an advocate for MMIW since she was 14 years old. She is a leader in the gym, and now that her boxing career is over, she hopes to take over as lead trainer once the club reopens. We'll get into that a little bit later in our program. And Kristin Lappas is a producer and director for ESPN Films. Kristin is incredible. She has received 9 Emmy nominations for her work over the past 4 years. Her latest film is Why We Are All Here Today, Blackfeet Boxing, Not Invisible. It's been screened at more than 25 film festivals and has gotten so many recognitions along the way, guys. I don't even have time because we want to keep you guys on a schedule to tell you all of the recognitions that Kristin's film has received. All well deserved. Most of you would recognize this though, you know, Critics' Choice. Yeah, she's been nominated for a Critics' Choice Documentary Award. So Kristin, great to have you. Is Frank with us today as well, guys? Is Frank out there?
Frank, you can turn your screen on now. There he is.
Frank, great to see you. Frank, who has been so instrumental in this movement, in training young women, in the Blackfeet Nation. And Donna is, hi Donna, how are you? Good to see you this morning. So I'm super excited to have the conversation with all of you guys. I want to start with Donna, who can give us a little bit of insight as to what life is like for women in your community. So Donna, share with the folks out there listening what it's like for young women in your community.
I think what life is like for, I think, any woman in any community is to be aware of their surroundings.
Yeah, it's for us. The only thing that, you know, I always tell the girls and all our young people in the boxing club to be careful, you know, to be aware of your environment. Have eyes behind your head, you know, whatever you're doing. Don't talk to strangers. I tell little kids, I said, don't talk to strangers. They offer you candy, run. You know, it's just things like that, you know, little simple things. It seems to be with this missing Indigenous women, it's a scary deal. I think about that girl, Ashley, you know, a lot. And, you know, I can't even imagine what her family goes through, you know, or any family that's dealing with this issue right now in Indian country, you know. And so I hope that, you know, my hopes are just that young people are more aware, especially young women, you know, and they're more aware of their environment and who's around it. And you know, so
Frank, we're so
it's really an honor and a privilege to be here and to see all these ladies. I was watching those girls work out, and I told them, see, we do that, but these girls are tough. So I don't want to get too long-winded
out there. It's really inspirational. It's unfortunate that it's necessary, but it's so great to have a mentor like you leading these women in this crisis. Kristin Lapis also joining us on the panel today. Kristin is the director of the film Blackfeet Boxing, which you can, of course, watch now on ESPN Plus. Blackfeet Boxing, Not Invisible. Kristin, how did you first learn about this gym and what Frank was doing out there?
Hi, Jen. First of all, I just want to say that I am so appreciative to our trainers and to Overthrow for hosting this incredible event. It was moving. It was powerful. I think everybody's going to go and want to conquer the day and just like say her name. Like that's the thing to take away from this is say these girls' names, because this is an awful, awful epidemic in our country. And these are the events that make a change and make a difference and bring awareness. Jen, for being a producer and a director at ESPN Films and 30 for 30, I'm always gravitating towards stories about female empowerment and how sports can empower young women. And I actually came across an article in a small newspaper in Montana. And in the article, it mentioned Frank and his gym and the wonderful work that he was doing with young women. And I was like, man, I need to go and meet these girls. Like, right there, here's the next generation that's trying to combat this issue. And that's kind of what was the inspiration for the film. I flew out to Browning, Montana, where the Blackfeet reservation is, and without cameras, just got to sit down with Frank and his family and Donna and some of the girls from the gym. And I just started to learn about what their life is like there and why they're in the gym and why they're fighting. And it was just incredibly moving. And I knew that ESPN Films needed to document this journey and to let people know who these girls are. They're heroes, truthfully. Like, they're not Michael Jordan or Lance Armstrong, but they're even more important. They're fighting for a thing that's a real danger in their communities. And I just felt like everybody needed to know who they were. So that's kind of how the film got started.
How difficult is it to build trust with a community? You come in as an outsider. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being totally honest, when we first got to the reservation, there was not a lot of trust there. Other media entities had come in and they had represented the culture and the people and the community in a really negative light. And so it was my mission to really earn that trust. And like I said, we went without cameras and we sat and we had a meal with Frank and his family and we talked to the girls. We got to know them on a personal level before we brought the cameras in and kind of asked them to open up to the world and tell their stories. And I would say that, over time, we kind of just broke down those walls and we were able to really come together. And one of my favorite stories and moments, honestly, of my entire life was the last shoot we did with Frank and the girls at the gym was last October. And I was actually 7 months pregnant, and they blessed my baby in the ring and they gave me an Indian name, which is like the highest honor. And it basically lets you know that you've been accepted into the community. And so for them to do that with me, it was a really, really wonderful thing. So yeah, but that trust when you do documentaries is the most important thing that we look for. Yeah.
We have a few fighters on the panel as well. Melissa and Clarissa, both world champion fighters, lengthy resumes. What have you guys seen the sport of boxing do for women and girls? Maybe whose voices have been stifled or who maybe don't recognize their own power. Clarissa, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think that, boxing for me, it just gave me it was a confidence booster. I played all kind of sports growing up when I was a kid, but boxing made me feel secure as far as I can handle myself in any situation because I'm born and raised in Flint, Michigan. Right now, my city doesn't have clean water, and it's been like that for 6 years. So growing up there, it wasn't the easiest, but I learned how to defend myself with boxing, and I was able to walk around like being this young skinny girl and never having to have any worries because I knew how to fight. So I really encourage every woman or man who have daughters to let them take boxing class. They don't have to turn out to be Olympic champions and be world champions, but to learn self-defense to me is important for all women and men, I think. And the younger you teach them, it's the better for them when they get older, and teach them this is only used when you need it. I can't go out in the streets and fight, only fight in the boxing ring. So that's kind of what boxing did for me. It just gave me that confidence and knowing if somebody messes with me, I can defend myself. And that's a whole new kind of sense of power, if you ask me.
Melissa, I know you've got quite the story as well. How has boxing helped you overcome some of the adversity that you've faced?
Oh man, I just got teary-eyed. boxing for me, when I came into it, was an outlet. I grew up in a very abusive household, and it's just, oh, I'm so sorry. It just was it was a lot. So growing up in that type of household, fighting outside the household, being molested, I needed an outlet. I was lost. I had no guidance. I didn't know where to go. I just was trapped. So when I found boxing, it was a safe zone for me. I was that little girl that used to hide under the kitchen table, in the closet. I was traumatized. I'm still dealing with the trauma, everything that has happened to me. So boxing was really a safe zone for me. And that's why I've been in it for so long, because I didn't feel, when I left the gym, leaving the gym, I felt scared again. Who's gonna take advantage of me? Somebody gonna hurt me? Because I've been fighting like pretty much all my life, and boxing really saved my life, because I don't know where I would have been if boxing wasn't there. So boxing really was a safe zone for me, like my blanket.
Love you, Mel.
Love you too.
Like, that's my girl right there. That's my girl.
It's hard to hear stories like that, guys. It's hard to hear and know that women have experienced that. I know Kristin, you're doing some incredible work shedding a light on these things, bringing awareness, pulling it out of the shadows. So valuable to be exposing it to so many other people. Donna, I know that you started writing MMIW on your hand wraps when you were fighting. Why did you do that?
So the reasoning for writing MMIW on the hand wraps was to show that I'm not just fighting for myself, I'm also fighting for them. They're people that aren't here today because of, it's not their fault that they're not here. People took them away. So I'm not just fighting for them, I'm fighting for myself, I'm fighting for my community, I'm fighting for their family members. And it just shows respect. And in the Native culture way, we really do respect our ancestors, our people before us, because they've led the road for us, the road we're on today. We're still here because of them. If it wasn't for their sacrifice, we probably wouldn't be here. There'd probably be less Native Americans in the US right now. So for that, it is showing, I am fighting for these women, I am fighting for their families. And it's just, like I said, it's just a high respect.
What type of response did your community see from the film that ESPN Films put together?
I think the response that we got was that they're really thankful, because this is a crisis that is in that hasn't been seen for so long. So all these family members that are having these young girls that taken away from them, they're grateful because finally their voices are heard. Finally their families are being heard. They're young girls. And so I think what we got was a really, appreciation, because they were outgoing for many years trying to get their girls noticed, get their girls in the book, something be done about their story, justice. And for them to finally have this, to finally have the Savannah's Act, the Not Invisible Act now, that is just closure, I think, to our community.
I see we've got Kaylee on the panel as well. KO, what an awesome job you guys did leading that boxing class this morning. What can an event like this do to help raise awareness and hopefully eventually stop this crisis that we're facing? I can't hear KO. Can you guys hear her?
No.
She's very emphatic with whatever she's saying. KO, can you hear us? KO, can you hear us? She can hear you. We can't hear you. All right, we'll get those technical difficulties figured out, and we'll come right back to you, girl. All right. How about Melissa? When you see a film like ESPN Films put together, and you start seeing some awareness being brought to this crisis, how does that make you feel about the boxing community?
It makes me feel good because boxing for young women, I think even if they don't want to compete, just having the skill to defend yourself is very important for all women, young women, older women, because you just never know what's gonna happen. You never know. You always hear stuff happening when the female's at a park or waiting for the bus. Like for instance, I was in an apartment and I had got attacked, in Vegas by Mayweather. Who would have thought that, So thank God, I can fight. So for seeing these young girls in the boxing gym, having the skill to defend themselves, if they run into a situation, is very important. So seeing it is very empowering.
And Jen, one thing that I wanted to add that Melissa just stated so nicely, and I saw it in the Blackfeet Nation Boxing Club as well, is that it doesn't matter if you're a world champion or if you're an Olympic bronze medalist like Donna. We saw girls that were in the gym that had coloring books, that were just in a safe place, that they could get away from whatever issues they were having at home. They could come to Frank's gym and they could feel safe. They could feel a part of something. So it's so much more than just, training to be a champion. It's having a place that you belong. It's feeling empowered. Some of the girls in our film told us, really, really horrible things that had happened to them. And they opened up to us for the first time. They had never shared those stories before with anybody. So it's just I'm just wanting to restate how important it is to have places like the gym that Frank created in order to have a place to go and feel like you belong and you're a part of something. And I think that, being an outsider to the boxing community before I did this film, it's so incredible to see the community that all of you guys have. It feels like you all have each other's backs, and it's something so special. And I don't think a lot of other sports really have like that camaraderie that all of you have.
Well, and it's definitely something that Overthrow has been conveying as well, right? This sense of community, doing the run earlier this morning, trying to bring all of these people together from everywhere, wherever all of our attendees are from today. It's really powerful to see that sense of community. It's not just, of course, your neighbors and the people who live in your town, but this boxing community is so strong and so deep. Frank, I want to go back to you for a moment because you've seen the documentary, obviously, which is available on ESPN Plus. And I'm wondering what type of reaction you've seen from your community after being represented in it.
Well, we have a lot of little girls that want to be a part of what we're doing now. It's just a matter of time for this pandemic, for it to end. A lot of little girls that I've dealt with, I'm going to say over 90% of them are bullied. And I always tell people, I'm a survivor of bullying. I'm a traumatic brain injury survivor. I'm a cancer survivor, and a survivor in life. And a lot of kids that come in here, they learn to be survivors. They learn to learn how to defend themselves. Boxing is so different than any other sport. It kids that are normally shy or what have you, they don't talk to anybody, they're quiet when they come in. The first 2 weeks, they're a part of everybody. And a lot of the kids that come in here don't compete, but they come in here to be a part of something. And what I've seen with boxing is it builds confidence. I've had young people with ADHD come in that basically wanted to, harm themselves because they couldn't help what was going on in their life. They got into boxing. There's something about boxing that just, it opens up their spirit, so to say, their spirit and their confidence in themselves. And you see it. One of my boys, there's a couple of them. One of them in particular, he was ADHD. He was brought to my boxing club when he was 8 years old. And he was getting in trouble at school. He couldn't help what was going on with him, And after about that first year, his grades improved. His outlook on life improved. He's a champion ball player. He's a champion boxer. I mean, you ever have someone grow up with you, you see them when they start and where they're at today, and it just amazes me. I've been doing this for 20 years now, and I see a lot of young people. they're doing better. I've had over a dozen Marines come out of my boxing club. Also the Gilbert Wall Memorial Boxing Complex, who was a highly decorated Marine. And so that big sign always peeks down on them. And, you know, we do the best we can. In our community, it's been warmly welcomed. I have a lot of people that I don't know say hello, you know, and it's really nice, you know. And like I said, there's, you know, we have to have dreams always in our life, you know, and the biggest dream I have right now is to get a big youth center, you know, for kids, not just boxing, but, you know, everything, you know, if they want to do MMA or they want to do youth scouts or pottery or whatever, anything. And then I want a place where they can roller skate on the weekends, but earn it by taking care of their community. There's I could tell you all, I could tell you stories all day. But anyway, thank you.
Jen, I just want to mention,
it's such a privilege.
I just wanted to mention one thing, that one of the first trips that I made to the reservation, Donna and all of the other girls in the gym mentioned that their idol was Clarissa and that they hope to someday meet her. And I just think it's so cool that we now have Donna and Clarissa on this chat, and we had so many other girls from the Blackfeet Nation Boxing Club join us virtually today. So I think it's just amazing that, you know, all of these worlds are kind of coming together. And I just had a question for Clarissa, if that's okay. Clarissa, what would you say to, you know, with COVID-19, obviously a lot of like the group fitness, you know, facilities are closed and people can't go and be a part of something and they're kind of stuck in their homes. So what do you say to the girls that maybe have a situation at home that's not great, and how they can try to, you know, escape that and combat that through boxing?
Well, I can only speak, you know, from my personal experiences. And I was, you know, also raped and molested when I was a kid. And and this is, you know, a little bit before I started training boxing. So I would just lock myself in my room. And that was my thing. You know, I locked myself in my room. I did push-ups. I did crunches. It was always a thing for me to just want to be strong. Like, I think people in this world make it a bad thing when a woman wants to be strong. And there's nothing wrong with the woman being strong, you know. So I've always been big on doing push-ups, sit-ups, you know, making sure straight. How many workouts you can do when majority of every access, look, you know, look, videos, Melissa St. Ville. It's a lot of boxers who have, you know, that have a lot of, you know, up. So if you want to just do like some training just to be, you know, fit and to get stronger and to know that you can protect yourself, we definitely got those videos. And then just stay informed as far as in your mental, you know, stay informed. And I mean, like, don't be stuck in this one box. You know, it's so many different women boxers and we can all relate to each other in so many different ways. And, you know, don't let one thing detour you from learning about another fighter's story, because me and Melissa come from two different backgrounds. But me and Melissa have been calling each other cousin for years. You know, me and her, we talk on the phone for hours. I sparred against her for the first time when I was 14. This is 11 years ago when I met Melissa St. Ville. You know, and she's been like one of my biggest supporters and been my family. And, you know, just finding that person to talk to, because sometimes holding things in, it's like a bottle of water that's filled up and you're trying to put more water in there. And then before you know it, this bottle just explodes. And I think that it's best, you know, pour it out. And when it fill up, pour it out again, and don't let it overflow, and just get better at expressing our emotions and knowing that it's okay to cry. It's okay to be angry, to apologize, you know, and that's stuff that I had to deal with growing up. That's how I kind of had to teach, like, how to deal with my anger. And I was just staying away from people, doing my push-ups, throwing my punches, talking to my friends who cared about me, releasing my anger, writing it out. If you don't feel like talking, write in. But it's just so many things that, you know, that you can do even in a abusive household. And I used to put the couch on my door so nobody could come in my room. I just like, I'm not having it, you know, couch on my door. I don't, you know, talk to you guys. And I just kind of secluded myself. But as I secluded myself, I still, like I said, read books. And I had 9 diaries by the time I graduated high school. Starting from 5th grade, I had 9 journals filled up with all kinds of stuff I read in here. So that's just my advice to all the girls, you know. I hope that they help somebody.
It certainly will. I do see we have KO there. How are we doing with the audio? KO,
Can
give
you
us a
hear
mic
me?
check.
Mic check 1, 2. Yes. Thank you, Jesus.
All right, KO. So you led this awesome class this morning with a couple of our other fighters. What does it mean to you to be a part of something like this, and what do you hope comes from
Well,
it?
being on the boxing platform for as long as I have and being able to find a purpose beyond the left hooks, right hands, and just, you know, just fighting just to fight. When I first started, it started just like Melissa, just like Clarissa, you know, I needed an outlet. First of all, being biracial, being from a Cape Verdean or a black background, an indigenous or native background, and not growing up on a reservation, not really being able to find my place, my identity. You know, with team sports, I tried it, but you know, with team sports, you have 4 other people on the court if you're having a bad day. With boxing, it's always been that solo aspect of it that I was always responsible for myself, being a victim of rape, being taken advantage of, you know, just not really being able to find my footing. Boxing was that place where I found everything else that was outside was quiet in that gym, and I could focus on that one thing at a time. Being a very expressive person and being very, very, very expressive and artsy, it was the only place I felt safe, and I found an identity. And I wasn't a girl trying to fight, I was just a fighter. You know, I've always had to fight for something, whether it was affection, love, acceptance, identity, like I said, being biracial, being sexually confused. There was so many things that was against me, and being an indigenous woman, we don't talk about genetic genocide at all in mainstream media, and it's a real thing. And it's sometimes we have our younger generation, even the current and older generation, that we hold this this sadness or this, you know, this worry or this, we don't even know what to call it in ourselves, and we need somewhere to express it. So finding my purpose and having, you know, I always say fight for all nations means just that. I fight for everybody. Energy is real. And, you know, as Native people, we all have medicine. And you can't tell somebody how to pray. This is my medicine, this is my gift, and energy is real. So with the intention behind those punches and the purpose I found throughout my journey in this life, just to inspire some hope and bring awareness is the first step to making a change. You know, if you can put your energy into finding resources, teaching women how to defend themselves, being more aware of your surroundings, who you're hanging out with. You know, if you have aspirations to be the best fry cook at Burger King and you have that purpose behind it, you don't have to be a world champion, you know what I mean? So it's highly important for me just to bring awareness and let my indigenous and native relations know that we are still here. We're not dinosaurs, we are not extinct, we're here, we're strong, and we've survived centuries and centuries of genocide. And being from a first contact tribe on the East Coast, you know, my blood has survived hundreds of years of trying to wipe us out. I'm still here, I'm still strong, and I'll stand and throw to my last punch, man.
We are so thankful for you, not only for the strong example that you are for young girls and women everywhere, but for sharing your time with us today and with all of our attendees today. I know you got a very busy schedule, but it is so cool to be able to watch you lead that class today and to share some of your knowledge and expertise with all of our attendees. So we appreciate
Thank you so much.
A couple of messages I do want to get across here before we let you all go, because we are getting close to our wrap time. Frank mentioned it a little bit earlier. The boxing gym that he runs has been closed due to COVID-19 since March. Obviously, the reservations have been hit particularly hard. I've seen a number of you in our chat asking how you can contribute, how you can donate, how you can help that situation. Frank has a GoFundMe page. The address is a little bit long and convoluted. I will read it for you once here, but otherwise I also recommend to search GoFundMe Blackfeet Boxing. You can search Frank's name as well. But here's the address if you wanted to grab a piece of paper and a pencil and write it down, guys. I'll give you 2 minutes or a couple minutes to grab that. It is so cool to see so many people in this community coming forward and saying, this is awesome. You guys are awesome. How can we help? So we get that address out there. It is, okay, you ready for it? https://GoFundMe.com/F/5G my-blackfeet-nation-boxing-club. We'll also try to get that sent out in some of these in our chat. If you guys are interested as well, you might be able to copy and paste it from there. Just really appreciative for everybody who has said, how can we contribute? What ways we can help out? Because they're so inspired.
Can
Frank,
you give that
what
again?
you guys are doing out there.
Can you give that address again?
What was that?
Can you give that address again? I know it's HTTPS.
Let's just do Gofundme.
If you
Gofundme.
want to, I do have the link on my Instagram and bio, and then my dad has a Facebook, and so does my mom. You can look me up under Donna Kip.
What is it called?
Facebook.
We have a Facebook page. Thank you. We do have a Facebook page. I really appreciate it. I don't mean to butt in. I'm sorry, babe. Thank you. It's really
okay,
such an honor. Clarissa and those ladies, I think it's so cool. And I want to thank you from the bottom. Thank Kristen.
Thank you guys for having me be a part of this, and I really appreciate it. I'm happy to bring more awareness.
Thank you so much, my dear.
Everybody. Sorry for getting emotional.
I apologize for that. I think we've learned, at least over the last few years or so, that vulnerability is strength. So Melissa, we appreciate you going into those spaces. It's not just to relive some of those things, but I know you're sharing them because you feel like your experiences can help other people. So that's really, really cool.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Actually,
this has been
joining us.
Kristen, we are so thankful that you brought everybody together with your film, Blackfeet Boxing, Not Invisible. It is available on ESPN Plus if you want to watch the entire thing. It is incredibly powerful. It is incredibly frustrating, if I'm being honest, that this is something that we're dealing with, but it is so empowering to see what Frank and Donna are doing there with the young women in the indigenous culture. Again, the GoFundMe page for Frank's Gym is on the chat if you want to check that out. As Donna said, it's also available on their Facebook page and on her Instagram page. We want to send a huge, huge thank you to Overthrow New York, Overthrow NYC, who has been so critical in bringing the fighters together and making this happen. Of course, and films that put together this film, to Kristin Lappas, the director, to Frank and Donna, and all of our panelists who spent some of their day today trying to bring this community together. It really is incredible, guys. I'm so thankful to have been a small part of it.
I'd like to say thank you too. I wanted to say something I've been wanting to say, and I'm so proud of my daughter, Donna. She's my little eagle. And I thank you. Like I said, I thank all you folks for putting this together. And Christian, you and Tom were the bomb. Thank you so much.
Well, see, I made it through the whole thing without crying, but
And
then
thank you.
Frank talking about Donna that got me all teary-eyed. So,
Oh, thank you so much, my dear. I appreciate this. You have no idea. It's very humbling.
you guys are
Thank
awesome.
you too for creating
Hey
the
guys,
space
thank
for
you to
people
all
to
of
be
you.
aware
Thank you to all of
too.
our panelists. Thank
Bonnie.
you to Overthrow New York. Thank you to ESPN. I'm so glad we were all able to come together today and do this.
Cut. That's a wrap. What up, Melly Mel? I miss you.
Today's event is a full-on community experience. What are you fighting for?
Only the people will save the people. We're constantly holding each other accountable for the mileage that we do. We've been out here on the streets. We didn't stop. And as we do this running to protest,